at what's stopping you from generating listings. Number one, we could blame it on higher interest rates. Number two, we could blame it on lack of inventory. Number three, we could really blame it on lack of motivated buyers, right? Or number four, we could just blame it on fear. And that fear could be around lack of um, overcoming objections, lack of rejection, and then lack of a value proposition. So I'm going to walk us through a couple of those things today, and then I'm going to give you 6 or 8 ideas of where to find some listings moving forward. So I think I always like to say the rates are the rates. People are going to buy, sell, move, relocate. There's things that make us get paid, and those are death, divorce, birth, debt, and relocation. Those things happen every day. Some of them are very happy occasions, some of them are not so happy. But listen, there are always going to be people buying. So we have to move beyond the excuse that the rates are too high. Okay. So if that's what's holding you personally back from going to find more listings, you got to move past that. Okay. The next one is lack of listing inventory. Maybe that is what's holding you back. I'm going to give you some solutions to that today. Okay. Motivated buyers, if that's what's holding you back, the person who invited you to this event today can help you with that. One of the biggest things that I hear right now,
Power on.
not knowing
Ready to start.
uh-oh, please mute yourself, guys. The one thing that I hear a lot today is lack of motivated buyers. And really, you guys, we can equate that to maybe we're not properly educating them. This could go back to the avatar talk we just talked about. If you really are in the buyer agency space and you need to figure out how to motivate people off the fence, what is that perfect avatar? What are they reading? What are they looking for? You can literally take what I just said in the wrong space into this space and say, hey, I can help people get motivated. But the person who invited you here today has a lot of opportunities to coach you on that. Whether it's the cost of waiting, whether it's if they've got a ton of equity in a house that they're waiting to sell and they need to relocate, could they pull some of that equity out? If they're not in a position to move right now, they could do their refis. I mean, there's a million ways that we can motivate buyers if we're willing to have a hard conversation. And the hard conversation usually comes when we're educated and we feel confident. So don't forget that the business referral partner that invited you to this is a professional in that space. They're used to talking to these clients and overcoming those objections and can absolutely help you with that. So I always like to start with that because there's something that's holding you back, and we can overcome that really quickly to get you into a space where you can really thrive in the listing space. It's just maybe you need some coaching on that, and the person who invited you can help you. All right, so some changes you may need to make to go find more listing inventory. Number one is education. We have to educate ourselves. Exactly what y'all are doing here today, but don't let it stop here. Sign up for some sites or listen to some some webinars or some podcasts around trends and data and scripting. Those 3 things will change your life. When somebody throws you an objection, if your script is confident and you can overcome that, you can shift somebody's mindset of we're going to wait 6 months to, you know what, you're right. We didn't think about that. We're ready to go. Okay. So educating yourself, and that looks like practicing scripts. We talked about that when we did the scripting class in this group. Data, there's so much data coming at you. Find the data source that is true and reliable that you feel comfortable presenting and practice that. And then trending, what's trending in your marketplace, right? I was talking to a gentleman when we got started today, and he was telling me all the markets he works in. I'm assuming he's pretty educated in those marketplaces. If somebody says, hey, I want to sell my house in Boca, he can spit out some stats and some data because that's his market and he's ready for that. He has that confidence to sell in that market. The second thing a lot of us need to change is our mindset. It's right here. It's what's between this space right here that gets in our way. And I know you guys have heard me talk about scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset. But guys, scarcity is the thing that paralyzes us, right? Scarcity puts us in, there's no inventory, there's no sellers, nobody wants to sell right now, there's no inventory for them to go to. That's not really true. There are people that are relocating that need to sell their house, but more importantly, I'm going to plant the seed today. I might get shot for doing it, but I feel it in my bones. There's 1.2 trillion with a T credit card debt. Okay. If we go back to COVID days when everybody was able to refi 2, 3, 4% interest rate and pay off a lot of debt, the unfortunate part is several of those people, several hundred thousand, several million of those people did not change their habits. So now those credit cards are packed back up with purchases. And there's going to come a time some of these people are going to have to unload their house, maybe either downsize or get the equity out of it, move, whatever the situation is. And so that is a mindset that you need to start adapting. Maybe some of your videos and some of your conversations talk about, hey, if your debt accumulation has you paralyzed, let's talk about how to get that paid off. Let's see if there's enough equity in your house for you to do a refinance and pay that off, or if it's time to downsize and get out from under the debt. It's okay to have those conversations, you guys. I used to despise those. I'm like, I'm not the money girl, I'm just an agent. The truth of the matter is, you're the professional, and your clients hire you and people hire you for your professional knowledge. So don't shy away from those conversations because in your mind you don't feel equipped. Go back to number one, the first thing I just told you to do: educate yourself. Practice those scripts, get the education, right? There's so much value that you have as a realtor to help people make good, sound decisions, but we fear away from them because we're in that scarcity mindset. I don't know enough. I'm not the professional in that arena. Don't let your scarcity mindset hold you back. Okay. And then the third thing is creating systems and structure and be consistent with them. You guys have heard me say you have to prospect every day, whether that's 1 hour, that's 2 hours, that's 4 hours. That can be a belly to belly appointment. That can be just having coffee with somebody that can maybe refer you. That could be making that big O call. Hey, I know you're bringing 25 people into our community, and I don't know if you've picked a realtor yet, but I want to be the person that comes in and presents about how wonderful our community is, or provide 25 relocation packages, or I'm the hometown girl, I can help you with that, right? Don't shy away from those things because you don't feel ready. Get ready, create those systems, prospect every single day, and watch what happens to your lead count. I used to come home and tell my husband, oh my gosh, I went on this listing appointment. They don't want to list for 90 days. He's like, honey, we got to eat 90 days too. So you have to plant seeds every day to keep that pipeline full. We can't wait until 90 days when our pipeline is dried up to start over, because then there's that 60 or 90-day gap where you're going to be hungry. Okay. All right. So I want to jump in. I'm going to start just throwing out tactics for you of places and ideas to find listings. Okay. The first one is your hidden gem that most of us are like, oh, they'll call us when they're ready. It's called your database. I was coaching some of the top students around the country when COVID hit. And several of them called me and said, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We got the big house, we got this, real estate's going to shut down. This is before we all realized that we could sell real estate virtually from anywhere, right? And so I said, you know what? We're going to create a CMA campaign a week. And I'm going to give you the system of how it works. I have so many people that are still on this program to this day, and it's their biggest marketing tool that they fill their pipeline with. Okay. So a CMA campaign is this: Monday morning, you print the first 10 people in your database, or you at least research the first 10. How long have they been in their house? Has it been more than 3 years? Are you still in relationship with them? Blah, 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 right? Do a little question test of the first 10 people. If all 10 of them check out, you're going to print envelopes for those 10 people or handwrite them out, and you're going to print a 10,000 foot view CMA of their neighborhood. We're not getting super detailed, and we're going to do a 90-day snapshot of what's going on in their market. And you're going to send that CMA with a cover letter. Now, some of you might use something that a lot of people are using now where you get the reports automated. Same thing. Okay. So, but you got to go to your database to figure out who needs to send them. And there's a lot of tools out there. There's the mortgage highway. There's a bunch of them. But for me, I just went to the CMA, went to the MLS, printed a CMA with a cover letter that said, hey, I know life comes at us fast. Maybe you have a move in your future. I wanted you to know what's going on in your marketplace. Please call me if you're looking to consolidate debt, list or sell your house, or whatever you want those 2 or 3 little bullet points to be. Sign it and ship it out. So 10 go out this Monday. The next Monday, I call those 10 people to check in to make sure they got that packet. Okay. I also turn around and do 10 more. So it's about 2 hours of work. Again, you need to be prospecting every day anyway. That was my Monday power hours. Okay. So print the CMA, print the cover letter, send them out. And then the next week, you're going to call those 10 and call and send out 10 more letters. And when you go all the way through your database, I mean, if you stop and think about it, if you have 200 people in your database, you can send every single person in your database an updated CRM. It's another touch, but you can get through the whole database in a year. Okay. Now, some of those you're going to weed out. If they just bought their house 6 months ago, that's not somebody I'm going to waste money or time sending that to. So you have to do a little homework. All right. Now, some of you may be looking at me like, oh, you think I have a CRM? No, I don't. Okay. Then with that situation, go to your MLS. Hopefully you can go back, 5 years, 4 years, 7 years, however far back you want to go, print that list and then go about it from there. Pick your 10 and move through that list. I'm just telling you, when you're trying to generate listings, we always think that our database will call us because they know who we are and they know what we do. But the truth of the matter, they forget. That's not their job. Okay. So don't be the one who sits back and waits for them to call you and then drive through their neighborhood and somebody else's signs in their yard, because you will not be happy with that. Okay. I touched on this briefly. I want to go back to it. Um, but be the local expert, all things local. So when I'm thinking about what I just gave you guys a hint, like cut a video if you've accumulated some debt and you have a question about if you have equity in your house. That's being the local expert. Guys, the last thing we want our clients to do is to go to the national news. And if we're not giving them good information as their local trusted advisor, guess where they're going? They're going to Google, which is the whole universe report, or they're going to a news channel that maybe not having good information for our marketplace. Listen, depending on where you live, some markets are hotter than a firecracker and some are dead as a doornail. If my market is hot and the news is telling them it's dead and they're comparing it to a market that's dying on the vine and everybody's sitting waiting, that's a problem, right? They need somebody local to come in and educate them on, hey, this is what's going on and this is what's happening, and the rates are starting to come down, and that's going to create frenzy for multiple offers, and then those prices are going to get jacked up. So if you're on the sidelines, we should talk. You guys have all seen those videos and some of you may be doing them, but keep all of your information that you're putting out on social videos, anything you can do, keep it hyper focused and local. Okay. The
Kendra,
next idea for looking for
Kendra,
listings.
before you move on, there are a couple questions. Do you want to answer them now, or do you want to wait for
Yeah,
the?
go ahead, please do. I'm looking at I just have a part of my
Yeah,
screen, so I can't
I
see
know.
that.
How do you find these people? Do you just pick random people, or where do you get their phone numbers?
They're past clients. So you should have their phone number. The database, those are people out of your past clients
Mhm.
list. So I just start in the A. January 1st, I start in the A's. We do 10, first 10, next 10, and we just move all the way through the database. So you should already have their address. You should know when they bought and sold, and you should have their phone number. These
And
aren't
do you
strangers.
have to have had sold them a house to do this? I'm just curious. Could you do that online?
Well, that's the campaign I use. I just called people out of my database that had been in their house 3 years or longer. So they already knew, like, and trusted me. If you want to do a mail campaign for something like that, you're going to have to figure out how to get their phone numbers, and you're calling a stranger and you're cold calling somebody, right? Whereas if you have the database and their past clients, those are easy calls.
Right. But you could also do this. My point was, you could also do it on your neighbor. You could do it on your friend. You don't have to do it just on past clients, correct? You
Yeah,
could
you
do it
could
on
do, yeah,
somebody that you have a relationship with. Maybe you didn't sell their house, but like you said, being the local expert,
yeah,
right?
for sure.
And then another question was, could you repeat what is in your cover letter?
Yeah. So you just my cover letter was just And I'll tell you what, I'll just find it and I'll just send it with the email if that's okay with you guys, and I won't spend any time doing that. But
Okay,
really what you can do is give them 2 or 3 options as to why they may wanna call you. What I'm trying to do is create urgency if you're trying to pay off credit or you're curious about what your home is worth kind of thing. So I'll just make sure that I get that put in the email for you guys, okay?
great. And then Paige had a good one. What if you just started and you don't have too many past clients?
Oh, don't worry, you're gonna get lots of things that you won't have to worry. That's not your only option. I got a good one coming up for you, Miss Page.
Okay,
Was that everything?
I think so.
Okay. All right. I'll jump back in. If stop me again if you see some more questions,
Okay.
Christine. Okay. All right. Let me go back. Okay. So my next one page is for you. Um, prospecting door knocking. This costs no money. So if you're on a small budget, I will tell you, I did this early on in my career, but I coach a young lady in San Francisco who does this and who nets over $1 million every year. And she does no marketing. She knocks doors. So I'm going to tell you a couple different ways to do this. So if you're a newer agent, I would be asking someone in your office if you could host an open house for them. If they have a listing that you could host the open house. Okay, and I would knock doors around that open house to let people know that you're hosting an open house on such and such date at such and such time in case they have someone that they would like to invite to come check out the house if they know one of their friends want to be their neighbors or have been looking for a house and have been unsuccessful. Okay. You can give them a flyer. If they're not there, you can leave the flyer on their door. You cannot put it in their mailbox. But that is a way to drive traffic to your open house. Okay. It doesn't cost anything. Now, the young lady that I coach, when she moved to San Francisco to be with her future husband, she did not really know anyone there. And her goal was just that she needed to knock doors. But here's what she did she got the open house from a top agent and she knocked move up buyer neighborhood. So let's say she's having an open house for 750. Okay, she would find the closest neighborhood where the values were like 500 to 600, and she would go knock those doors and invite them to the open house because those people are, if they're moving up in price, that would be the price range typically they would be going to. Okay, but here was her whole mindset. She would park at the end of the street and she had to prospect 1 hour a day every day anyway. So she would knock 10 doors on one side, cross the street, knock 10 doors the next on the other side, and get back in her car and leave. She did that 5 days a week. Okay. She would invite, the only thing she would leave them was the flyer, inviting them to the open house. A lot of times people are home because so many people work at home now, right? Virtual work from the house. So she gets a lot of activity during the day. And she says, I can answer 10 questions a week about we'd love to sell our house, but we don't think it's a good time. Or we'd love to sell our house, we don't know where we're going. Or we'd love to sell our house, but the rates are too high. And she says it gives her opportunities to talk about who she is, what she does, how she can overcome those objections and invites them to the open house. It's kind of lower the bar. She's not asking for a listing appointment. And she's like, well, just come check out the house. You can see what the competition is, or you can see what's out on the market right now, right? And she started building an email list because when they come to the open house, she said, per my seller's request, I need you to sign in and at least give me an email address. So she started an email campaign. So every Friday, she hosts open houses on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday now. She and her team do. And on Friday morning, they send out an email open house list to all these email addresses. She went from brand new in the market to netting over $1 million. And quite honestly, last year she netted over $2 million. Her only marketing is knocking doors. Guys, that doesn't cost anything. And if you are in a safe neighborhood and you're not fearful to do that, I highly recommend it. It helped me get my career started. It has crushed her career for sure. But it's an easy one to do. Okay. The next one is house parties. Um, I wish I was in the room with you guys because I'd let y'all share if you do these. But for me, I started doing house parties probably about 8 or 10 years after I started selling houses and listing and selling. And it was a way for me to expand my database without spending a ton of money doing geographic farms or mailers, right? We all have seasons where we can spend money to market, and then we have seasons where we can't spend money to market, right? And so in 2004, the market was a little shaky and I didn't have a ton of money. And I was like, you know what? This is somehow I can, get some new names in my database, meet new people, and it wouldn't cost me a ton of money. So let me tell you what the house parties are. You can do buyers that are going away from a neighborhood or even relocating, they're going away party. Okay. Or you can do a seller's housewarming party if they're moving into a new neighborhood. There's a million ways to do these. I coach people that do them my way, people do them different ways, but here's what I will tell you. It is part of our presentation. So we set the expectation either at the buyer consultation or the seller's presentation, listing presentation, that we offer this as an added value service. And it may or may not help you win some listings when somebody's really worried about, oh, commissions, but then we definitely want to have a party. And if she's going to do the party, I won't worry about the commission, right? Guys, you have to bring a ton of value to these clients right now because they all want to negotiate your commission, right? So this is a value add. So I said right up front what the budget is. They get 3 options of food to choose from. So I get to pick either the caterer or the restaurant or whatever. Um, I provide the soft drinks and water. If there's the kids, I will do like juice boxes or Capri Suns or whatever. Okay. And my whole objective for them is I show up beforehand, set up the food, and I'm the extra hands at the party. Most of you know if you host a party, you're running around making sure everybody's water is filled, or if there's a mess in the floor, you got to grab the paper towels. Most of the time, we never eat, and over half the time, you don't even get to spend any time with your guests because you're running around. So I want them to enjoy that experience, and I get to take that off their hands, right? So I give them a 2.5 hour window. I come early, set up the food. After they eat, I clean up the mess. I shake hands, kiss babies, and then I just slip out. Right. And what happens is people come up and say, oh my gosh, my realtor didn't do this for me. And I just happen to have a card in my pocket. And so I just say, well, the next time you're in the market for a real estate agent, give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. Right. That's it. Um, Super easy. Now, you will get some that say, oh my gosh, we're moving and our house is a disaster. No way can we have the party here. Great. If they have little kids, take the kids and go to have them meet you at Chick-fil-A. You can pick up the kids' meals there. You can go to the park and bring Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or whatever. There's a million ways to make this happen, but really the whole purpose is to provide value to them, but also to meet their sphere, right? And by me being in charge of the invite list, I send the form to them once we get the house under contract for them to fill out the name and email address. It's pretty inexpensive because I do an evite, right, which is free. The responders come to me, so I know how much food to buy. We set everything up. I show up, I do a little work, I carry out the garbage, and I'm out the door. This was a big game changer for me. So if you are looking to expand your database, say you're fairly new and you only may have 100 people in your database, you can get that to 125, 150, 200 within a matter of a year or so by just doing these parties. Okay. The next thing I will tell you about find listings is this is your long-term play to get paid. Okay, this one costs money. It's a little expensive, but it's geographic farms. All right. When I left a top producer's office, I was their assistant, and got my PhD working for him. He was brilliant and gave me all the opportunities to succeed. And I had a really rough pregnancy and I went home to be bedridden. When I came back out, I wanted to be a salesperson. And so um, geographic farming was my only way. I lived in a town, I didn't really know anybody, so I had to figure it out. And so geographic farming for me started, I took 100 rooftops and I hand addressed the postcards, and I'm telling my age, but it was the perforated inkjet printer paper. I would feed it through 4, postcards, and I would hand address them and I'd put the stamps on them and send them out. I would continue to grow that as my budget would allow. And when I sold my business in 17, we sent 4,000 pieces of mail a month. Okay. It's expensive, but I wanted to focus on listings and I wanted to dominate certain markets. So I was willing to do that. All right. But here's the key about geographic farming, you guys. A, it's expensive. B, more importantly, it is a long-term plan. So at least 7 times before they remember your name. So it's not a, mail a card and get a listing. And if you do, good for you. That's not the norm, right? But the third piece of this will be do your homework before you pick a geographic farm. Okay. I transitioned markets at one point in time in my career after the collapse in 9 and 10. I wanted to chase some bigger listings. And I went and found a neighborhood that I was like, I would love to live here one day. And didn't really do my homework. I'd mailed several months. I'm telling my coach, this isn't working. I'm not going to do it anymore. And so she started questioning, how'd you pick the neighborhood? What's the absorption rate? And I'm like, the what? And long story short, I had been marketing to a neighborhood where everybody in there had custom built their home and had been there less than 2 years. Nobody in there was moving unless tragedy happened. So I threw really good money at a really bad idea. So do your homework. Look at neighborhoods that maybe it was newer home builds. Maybe they're 3 years old, 4 years old. Maybe even through a big box builder or a big national builder where there was an on-site rep that sold a lot of those houses, because we know that they move from neighborhood to neighborhood and they more than likely aren't able to list existing homes. So those people in there may be looking to move in the next year or so, and that might be a gold mine for you. But do your homework. If everybody in the market sold their home in the last 2 years in the neighborhood you're thinking you want to go in, it's going to be a really long term before you're going to start seeing some residual income from that. So do your homework on that. And number 4, when you do geographic farm, consistency is key. If you don't mail consistently, they're going to forget about you. Okay. Christine, I'm going to ask you, is there any questions before I keep going? I'm going to try to stop every couple, make sure.
Yeah, there were some comments about like in Florida, just a lot of gated communities. And if you're doing an open house in a gated community, I thought this was a good question. Can you still solicit the houses in that neighborhood, even
I
though it
think,
says no soliciting?
yeah, if there's a sign that says no soliciting, I would not even trespass. No, I would go find a neighborhood that is maybe a move up to that neighborhood to knock those doors. Absolutely don't want anybody getting arrested. So do pay attention to the non-soliciting signs for sure.
All right. And then just to reiterate for everybody, all the documents go out to everybody. And if you do not get the documents, you need to contact the loan originator that invited you, and they will get it to you. So make sure that, because there's a lot of comments in here about getting the documents, they're always sent right after, about a day. Usually about a day afterwards, the documents are sent out to everybody if with the email address that you registered in. So I'm just going to reiterate, nobody needs to put their email address in there because it's already done. And if you don't get it, contact the person who invited you. I like Barry had a great comment about asking about your parties
Yeah.
and doing the parties is to ask the loan originator to co-market with them and share the cost in them.
Yes, and I do these webinars for somebody in Nashville, a big lender there, and he offers that in his package too. So he offers a flat fee for the party, and the realtor offers the flat fee, and they pull the money together, and they do that. And he's always putting stuff on social media about it, and I think it's super cool. And it gives both of you exposure. Listen, your business referral partners are blessings. We all know that. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
collaborate with them, more bang for the buck. I like it.
And still on the house parties, for the house party, is this for buyers and sellers from Cheryl?
Yes. So yeah, I like buyers when they're moving into their home because all of them are going to have a party anyway. And then the sellers that are moving out of the neighborhood, it could be they could invite their neighbors, or they could, if they're relocating, they may want to invite family or whatever when they're leaving that home. So yes, it can be for both for sure.
Back to the door knocking, Deanna says technically we're not soliciting, we're just inviting them. So is it just educating them that there's a open house in the neighborhood?
Yeah, and I would just double check with the seller that you are representing to make sure that they don't know of any rules or anything in the neighborhood that says it's a no-go. We don't want anybody getting in trouble.
And Keaton says, how often do you mail out to your geographic farming area? Once a month?
Yeah, I do every 3 weeks is what we did. We did every 3 weeks.
How did you come up with 3 weeks?
Because obviously 30-day spans, if there's other competition hitting them every 30 days, I want to hit them an extra time in between. That's just my
Mhm.
thought process. Aggressive, right?
Love it.
You're not first, you're last.
Yeah. All right. And if you can't print your documents, again, get back with your loan originator and contact them to help you out.
Perfect. All right, I'll keep going. I got some
We're
more
good.
ideas for y'all.
Got it.
Probate and estate attorneys. You guys, this it was a real game changer when I came out of the 2010 collapse in Nashville. And what I realized was these people need us the way that we need them. But here's my, my disclaimer, it takes a lot of work. Okay. So, depending on what state you're in, because I think we have people in different states here, but I know that Nashville is a probate state, or Tennessee is a probate state. I know Florida is not. So, depending on where you are, it can work in either market. But here's the thing: when these folks inherit, and I say inherit, the attorney inherits a property to sell to settle an estate or probate, they need our help, right? Because they don't know who to call for trash removal. They don't know who to call to get the lawn service maintained until the house sells. They've got to get the utilities put in their name. Unless they already have picked a real estate agent that's helping them with that, there's usually not someone in the estate planner's office that's like, oh, I'm going to do that work. So they're scrambling around trying to figure it out. Maybe they're trying to dump it quick for cash if somebody calls them. And so I found that they loved having me as a resource. Okay. And so if they're trying to settle this estate for maybe family members that are in different states, they're not coming back to trash out the house or whatever, I could be that resource. So people ask me all the time, how did you find an estate attorney or probate attorney? It really started in my sphere. So here's your homework assignment if you want to chase this group. Go to your database and look through and find someone that you've sold or bought a house with or that are friends with that is some kind of attorney. Okay. I jokingly say this, but it's the honest truth. Realtors run in packs, and so do attorneys. Okay. So a probate attorney may know a divorce attorney. A divorce attorney may know a they all run together. Okay. So child, divorce, probate, all of that. So if you find one and ask them to connect you to someone and get that warm introduction, that's what you need. All right. You can cold call if that's your style. I just, in full disclosure, I did not do that. That's not how I landed the first one. But the greatest thing was once I landed the first one, he's like, well, I know so and so on the other side of town. He needs these services. And then I got to that one and it just snowballed for me. Okay. So here's the things I will tell you, the pros about it. There's no emotion, zero, right? So if you're a person who really struggles with, oh my gosh, I brought my babies here, I really don't want to sell it, or, this is my family heirloom or whatever, I get it. But those are really hard to work through when you're super emotional, right? And so with these ladies and gentlemen that are handling this business, they're like, they need to sell the property for the family and they need to sell the property so they can get paid. So it's a win-win-win, right? We help them trash the house out or get the house ready to sell or get the utilities on so we can show it. We're taking that workload off of them. So that's a win for the attorney and the homeowner, right? Or the person who's going to inherit the money from the sale. We also are the professionals in our marketplace. We know what these houses will bring. Maybe we have an investor if they want to hurry up and sell it quickly. So it's just a win-win-win. And there's zero emotion involved 90% of the time. But as I said, be sure if you're a sole agent and you're like, whoo, I don't know if I can handle that with everything else I have going on, don't do this one right now. Just set it on the back burner and maybe somewhere down the road you can come back to it. But there is absolutely a niche there. If you're looking for listings and you're willing to make the big calls and ask for their business, you will get paid. Okay. The next one, by far, my best business referral partner of my career. And I'll tell you a quick story about it so you can kind of connect the dots. But he is a senior financial planner. I went to a happy hour that my preferred and business partner on my lender side was having for realtors. And people in my office would always say, I'm not going to that happy hour. There's just realtors there. I'm like, exactly why you should go. Maybe I have a niche property I'm trying to tell other people about, or maybe I'm looking for a niche property. Where better to go present that and put it out into the universe than with a group of realtors. That's what I do for a living, right? So I went to this event. There was this man standing on the wall, and I had been selling real estate there for 30 years. Everybody knew me, I knew everyone. It was really weird for me to see somebody in an event that I didn't know, especially that event. And so I went over to him and I was like, "Hi, my name is Kendra Cook. You must be a new realtor." And he's like, "No." And I was like, "No." And he said, "My name's Larry. I'm a senior financial planner." I'm like, "What do senior financial planners do?" And my wheels are like spinning because I'm thinking, "Why is he here?" And so he said that he was a friend of the host and he had invited him to come. And I was like, "Well, can I get your business card? I'd love to follow up with you and learn more about what a senior financial planner does." Because in my mind, I'm not thinking senior as in baby boomer senior. I'm thinking senior as like senior executive, right? It wasn't clicking at the time. My mind wasn't going there. So, long story short, I get his card, and my assistant calls him a few days later, and we schedule an appointment. And she comes to my office and she said, "He is adamant that you come to his office." Well, he's a stranger. And so she's trying to protect me. She's like, "Is he a weirdo? Like, why does he want you to come to his office?" So we kind of chuckled. I'm like, "I'll go. It's fine." So I went to his office. And the reason he wanted me to come to his office is he wanted to show me what he offered his clients. And it was basically an annual review, 10,000-foot view of their finances. He is a senior financial planner preparing seniors financially to be in good standing to retire when they're ready. I thought it was brilliant. I was like, "This is amazing." He's telling, showing me the graphs and telling me what he does and how they come to his office once a year. And so I don't know, something in my brain, so grateful that it happened, said to me, "Well, do you talk about their real estate when they're here?" And he said, "No, not really." He said, "If they have a question, I just tell them to go back to their realtor that they bought their home from." And so I put my elbows on the table and I said, "You know that the average realtor doesn't make it 12 months in the industry." And his eyes got like this big. And I said, "Chances of their realtor still being in the business could be slim to none. So what if we figured out how to partner?" And so I pitched this to him to become his real estate partner. And I let him know that I would give him honor when I talk to them and elevate him in those conversations. If he could just get me in the door to talk about their real estate. If they're wanting to downsize and buy a smaller place and take some money and put it in the market, he wins, they win, I win. Or if they're selling their house to go be closer to their family, I win, they win, he wins. There was no scenario that we could come up with that it wasn't a win, win, win. And so I started working with Larry in his partnership. And we worked together maybe 8 or 9 years, and I averaged 8 closing a year with that man and his referrals. And the greatest thing is a lot of them come with two paychecks. If they're selling the big house and downsizing, I got to work with those clients twice. And here's the big catch for you guys. As of 2022, the baby boomers own 32 million homes in the United States. They account for about 38% of the homes that are owned in the US. And a lot of that is being driven by the fact that several million of them already own two homes. So they've already purchased their forever home by the grandkids at the beach, in the mountains, whatever. So you're going to be able to help them unload this house when it's ready, right? Their existing property. And so we kind of put together the annual review, just like I started this presentation with, you can send the 10,000-foot view. When Larry's assistant will call and ask to set the appointment up with their clients for their annual review, she would ask them, "Is it okay if Larry gets a real estate report to put in your packet?" And some would say yes, and some would say no. She would send me those addresses. I would print a CMA or email. I would email it, but I would create a CMA, 10,000-foot view of the property, and I would email it to the assistant along with a flyer that said 10 reasons you should list with Cook Realty Partners, a little bit about me, and 10 things that we did that made us different. We would email, they would put it in the packet. Some of them would call, some of them would not. But when you average 8 closings with one referral partner, that is a huge way to find listings, you guys. So I would start with the person who manages your money currently and say, "Hey, do you specialize in this arena? And if they don't, do you have someone you refer? And could you connect me to them?" Guys, if we know that the baby boomers were the biggest population in America up until a couple years ago when the millennials passed them, they own the bulk of these houses. Why are we not being a resource for them when they're ready to downsize? It is a just I don't know. It's just a game. It was a game changer for me. I hope that's something that all of you will adopt. I got two more, and I'm going to turn it back over, and we'll get some more questions. But divorce attorneys, we all know that that is again. Um, Maybe a 1 in 10 shot. Usually an attorney, if you align with a divorce attorney, they just need comps so they can decide if one's going to buy the other one out, or if they can't come to an agreement that they have to sell the house. Most of the time, if you provide the comps because you're referred in by the divorce attorney and they have to sell, they will pick you to list the house. But it doesn't happen very often, or it didn't for me. But when it did, again, I got to deal with an attorney, maybe in the person who was living in the house, but I always had the go between. I didn't love doing divorce sales without having that mediator, but there are listings there. So again, go through your database. If you've got a divorce attorney, reach out and say, hey, I want to be a resource for you, and see if you can't find something. Listen, it doesn't cost anything to start planting these seeds, right? The knocking the door doesn't cost anything. The reaching out to the probate attorneys, getting with a senior financial planner, you guys, these are mostly all things that didn't cost me money because I adopted them when the market wasn't great for me. I wasn't looking to buy Zillow leads. I wasn't looking to buy Realtor.com leads. I'm not condemning or condoning those. I'm not supporting or not supporting. I'm just saying for me, I had to figure out ways to be a relationship based realtor and business person because I didn't have a ton of funds. So hopefully you're catching on to a lot of these are just picking up the phone and making the big calls. And the last one is recruiter, headhunter, HR managers. This is another place that you need to go back to your database and figure out where your clients work, right? Um, Quick story, a girl ran beside me on the treadmill. Didn't realize she was the head recruiter, physician's recruiter at a big hospital for years at the gym. She finally talked to me about listing her house. I didn't even know if she knew what I did. And then through the process, I found out she was the head physician's recruiter, started a long term business relationship with the hospital. The funny thing was that, yes, the main hospital had a relocation company. If some of you are like, we'll never get that because I thought the same thing, but she helped the very specific physicians that were coming in, whether it was a cardiologist or something like that. And 6 or 8 closings a year with again another one referral partner. I think I averaged about 5 a year with her, but again, higher price, very niche property. They will ask you to provide vendors that can help their clients that are moving in, so you can go ahead and prepare that. I did a lot of community tours for them. I provided the relocation packet, but again, if they're interviewing 2 high-end doctors, one of them's coming. So 2 in 1 shot, I'll show 2 tours to get 1 client all day long, right? So again, didn't cost a ton of money, but use the resources that you already have. I think when we think about database, we're like, they know what we do, but when we know what they do, it opens other doors for us to grow our business without having to cold call. I'm not a very good cold caller either. So I'm going to end on that. And that gives us 8 minutes of going back. But if you took something away today, here's my only request: put an action plan together to make it happen. Don't take 10 of those things or 4 of those things and be like, I'm going to do all of them, because spraying a bunch of ideas and praying that one of them sticks is probably not going to be beneficial for you. So I would just say, take an action plan, super simple. Let's say 1 hour a week. Like I said, if you're going to do the database, the CMAs, an hour or 2 hours every other Monday. You could do that very easily. You block it on your schedule, you print those CMAs, you have your list pulled in advance, and then you have the next week you're going to call them and start your next list. Something simple as that. If you're going to chase estate attorneys, make sure that you have a plan. When are you going to call them? How many times are you going to call them? What are the services you're going to provide for them? So just make sure that you have a plan and that it is all in your schedule so you get it done. Okay. All right, Christina, I'm going to give you back. See
Yeah.
if we have some questions
We
I
have
can.
some good questions. Deborah Morris asked, how many one-on-ones are you having with your business partners?
At least once a month. I'm either on the phone or belly to belly with them at least once a month.
Yes. And then Katina says, what's in your relocation packet?
It depends. So I love like community, and so there's a whole intake form, you guys. The main thing that we forget to do is ask the questions, right? So if somebody's coming in to do a relocation tour with us, we had an intake form. What do you do for fun? Tell us about your family. How many children do you have? Do they go to public or private school? What interests your kids? So when we create a relocation package, it's specific to that person. Now we all have like things that we can get from the chamber you can print and stick in there, but I think it's way more appealing. People think I took a lot of time, which I did, to create something that's for them. So if they're like, oh, my kids are soccer, bananas, then I'm going to be printing out things about soccer parks and soccer clubs and soccer camps to put in there, so they see that there are those opportunities when they come here. So some stats, some demographics, maybe an overview of the housing report, and then some stuff that's very specific to what they're looking for.
Again, we have it so easy these days. I mean, just put it in chat,
Yep.
GPT. I
Yep.
mean, and you can put in, this is about the family. Create me a questionnaire, an intake form for this person, and it'll probably even personalize it
Yeah.
as well.
It's so easy, gosh. Guys, if you're not using all these tools that are inexpensive or free to us, you're missing the boat. Don't kill yourself trying to create something new.
Yeah. For the house party, this happens before selling the house, correct?
Yes. It's usually like a week or two before it closes. Yes.
Got it. I think that was it on the questions. I would just like to add two things. Is ninja selling? I think I've mentioned it here before, but I cannot stress it enough. If you're a real estate agent and you have not read this book, you are missing out. It is like real estate 101, and it talks about doing the CMAs with all your neighbors, anybody in your database. It doesn't have to be just previous clients. And ninja selling, guys, put that on your list to read. There's another great book, Fanatical Prospecting. If you haven't
Mm.
read that, Fanatical Prospecting is another great book. And financial planners are a great, it doesn't have to be just a senior, right, Kendra? It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be a senior. Any financial planner is a great referral source. And why we like them as lenders is because whatever the financial planner tells them to do, they do it. They're like robots. My financial planner told me to sell the house, blah, blah, blah. They're like robots sometimes. And it's awesome. That's why financial planners are such a great referral source.
Yes. Yeah. Because if I trust you with all my money, then I'm probably going to trust you with your advice, right?
With
So,
who you refer to me and what you do. Yes, it's a
yeah.
strong, strong referral. So,
There was a question that just popped up. Donna
oh, yeah.
asked, "Do you provide a gift for people who refer you clients?" There you can get 100 different answers to that. I don't refer people. I don't give people who refer me. I give people who that I want to show gratitude to, if that makes sense. So you may get a gift when you give me the referral, even if it doesn't close. I give my business partners on their birthdays. So for different reasons, yes, I gift people, but I don't know if it's just every time they give me a referral, I give them a gift. I don't do that.
um,
What was the second book? Oh, Fanatical Prospecting and
Fanatical
Ninja
Property.
Selling were the two
Mm-hmm.
books. I think that was everything. Did you guys get some good stuff today? Was there some good tips in there? Good. Okay, good. I only see about 12 of y'all, but sorry I started on the wrong path, but we'll do that next. Is that what I'm doing next month?
That was a great topic too. I just wanted to make sure that everybody got what they came for. You know, you kind of have an
Yes.
idea in your head and you're kind of geared towards that. So,
Yes.
yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess I'll be back with you guys next month and we'll tackle marketing and branding then. In the meantime, if you guys need anything, let us know.
Thanks, Kendra.
See you guys.
Appreciate you. Bye-bye. Bye, guys.